I know karate, judo, and some other Japanese words. Hello, YouTube. Welcome back to Grand Finals cast from the ESL Cup. To the top right, this one coming from Korea makes sense with this red Protoss. Its stats. Its stats' its opponent in the bottom left is the blue Zerg Scarlett. Now, what I'm pretty excited about is these guys actually have a bit of a history. I'm not sure if they consider themselves as rivals or having a history between them, but I've actually cast Scarlett versus Stats on many different occasions for many different tournaments, various qualifiers. And one thing that's always stuck out as funny to me is Scarlett set the channel record speed run. I think it was 2 minutes and 58 seconds if memory serves. She won a game because Stats built exactly like this. She rushed to pool and lings, killed this pylon, and Stats tapped out as he should. 2 minutes and like 58 seconds or something. It's like the fastest I've ever seen. So anytime these two match up against one another, there is a little bit of like, is Scarlett about to kick a ton of butt at play? But you'll probably oftentimes hear Stats is one of the best Protoss players, not just in Korea, but like period. And I stand by that because he's got really good decision making. Sure, he can make risks and sometimes messes things up, but all in all, Stats has been a very solid player for most of his career, and he's been very reliable in terms of results. So in this Finals Cup, I don't really know who's got the upper hand going into it, but I'm just going to lean a little bit towards Scarlett and her very aggressive style of play. However, how Stats handles that will be probably identified quickly in this first game. Well, I guess not a rush, but like we'll see, have to deal with her aggression. Now we should actually talk about the cool updates, because at the time I'm casting this, this update wasn't actually live when these guys were playing. But this cup at this point in time for this game they're playing was worth $100, winner take all for this finals in this best of 5. Plus there's a little bit of ESL points to go with it. But since this cup played out last week, ESL has announced they're upping the prize pool by adding another $300 for each one. That's $400 now for these weekly cups instead of $100. That's an incredibly insane price hike, and it might just be one of the most well rewarded tournaments outside of China, if I'm not mistaken. So that'll be. They also changed the days and the times. So this game was probably cast on Saturday evening if you're in North America, Sunday if you're everywhere else. But now these are being moved to Mondays. That way the weekends are open for the big events like TSL and other soon-to-be, I'm sure, announced events. So these wonderful weeklies that we've enjoyed will be moving from the weekends to the start of the week. And we'll see how that goes for people. I don't really have a strong opinion about the time. It's more about the time in which they start than the actual days for me, because, I don't know, being on the internet, my days just bleed together. But it'll be cool to see if that's received well by the audience or not, or if it changes viewership or whatever. I'm excited to be on board. And actually, a quick little announcement, depending on when this goes up on YouTube, I should be working with Mapu to do the next one with a live broadcast. That means no stream delay if I do it correctly. So hopefully we'll see you guys for that on Monday. But anyways, Resonating Glaives has been picked here out of Stats. Funny to see because, frankly, charge slots are just out. When they took the 8 damage off the charge slots, they stayed powerful, but they lost their kind of early all-in appeal. I don't know if this will be all-in out of Stats. It's worth noting he is taking some extra gateways, but this isn't enough to make me go like, all right, dude, you're committing way too much. So this could just be some light harassment for the early game, something that Scarlett will have to take very seriously and cannot underestimate. And if that's the case, then Stats transitions out of it, hopefully. Sometimes we see Robo or double Robo. This case is just the one for now. Warp Prism heads out. Adepts are also coming out in the field, but Scarlett has had vision. Actually, nice spread with the Zerglings on the watchtowers. Overlord over here. There was no way Stats was going to leave that base and not be seen. So Scarlett knows what's coming. She's building a bunch of Zerglings now to deal with it because the Roach Warren isn't done. But as soon as the Roach Warren's done, it's going to be fairly easy for her to get some Roaches out to defend this. Yeah, this first wave of Adepts is going to have Resonating Glaives in about 10 seconds. It's going to be super nasty, no fun zones to deal with. But this isn't so committed that this has to do or die for Stats. A lot of the time, if you're going to commit, you have to trade out for a lot to make this worthwhile. Now, while he's locked into 2 bases, I am a little worried. Like, there's no forge, there's no attempt at a third. This turns all in very quickly if stats overcommits. One of those things you may not have planned to do, but might end up doing. Transfers canceled. Roaches are on the way. This is the problem. The longer it takes too is more time for Scarlett to warp in more units, and she's certainly going to be doing that. The observer's here, so some of the creeps getting cleaned up, which is nice. You don't often get to deny Zerg this early, this easily, but you know, this many adepts versus a roach, they actually probably don't mind taking that fight. Looking for the transfer, cancels out once again. There's no reason for him to commit like this, and he knows it. He's really trying to draw her out of position to take advantage of one of those transfers. But as I also pointed out, this isn't supposed to be super committed out of stats. In fact, we see the forge on the way. A third base starts up. So no amount of drone kills is worth losing every single one of these adepts. For stats, by keeping her on her toes at home, it's preventing her from harassing his third. It's keeping her from dealing damage to him, but also it's keeping her from exploding an economy. Like, how many games we watch a Zerg player play and it just looks ridiculous because they've got infinite money? That's not something that's going to happen for Scarlett right now because she's had to build so many army units in preparation of this defense. I might actually transfer through with this one. No, cancels it again. The roaches were really out of position, which is why I thought maybe he'd actually commit with that. But of course, for stats, third base, a little over halfway done. Should be able to catch up in money. Scarlett has had a pretty significant money lead, but that's not been for that long. So realistically, she's not that far ahead of stats at the moment. Not in the grand scheme of things. And so far, it's been such a passive game. Only 3 Zerglings have really died. The creep tumor? Okay, now an adept goes down, but still, very little actually happening in this game. For all intents and purposes, how many units have been built? I thought somebody would pull the trigger on something, but no, Stats is playing very cautious with this. Can't blame him either. Last thing he wants to do is lose all these adepts, because if he does, he loses any chance to keep Scarlett at home. But he does go through with the transfer. Now the roaches were out of position, so the second transfer goes off. He should be able to escape the main, but he's definitely going to lose a couple of roaches on the way. Not to mention Scarlett's already giving chase, so well, it's the great escape. It's actually a really great escape. That killed 10 workers, and he gets out alive almost unscathed. It was actually a great opening for Stats. Oh, he's not done. I thought he transferred away to safety. He transferred back into the mineral lines, goes to the recall. Okay, that was a bit more of a coin flip gamble. I like the idea, but it didn't work out. This has also given Scarlett a very interesting amount of time to buy herself, as the Spire is now finished up. Stats, however, does have +2 starting up and Blink finishing in a moment. This is important because Blink... just regular Blink Stalkers on their own, they don't actually do that well against mutas, but Blink Stalkers with +2, no problem. They actually have no problem focusing down mutas. It's kind of gross. But while Scarlett may have that Spire, not using it, and wisely so, because her problem right now isn't harassment. Her problem is definitely a real army that's here right now. Force fields, immortals, you name it. Stats is looking for some serious damage. She's just tried to take a fourth, but that's going to be out in the open. Storm starts up. Okay. Stats is really drawing this out, but I don't blame him. If he were to rush in and take one of these fights versus Scarlett, yeah, sure, there's a gamble that he wins, but there's also a chance he loses and throws everything away. And this has been a very solid game for him so far. Even with that kind of questionable adept transfer, you know, usually we see Zerg player just jump out of control with income, but he's been matching Scarlett. She hasn't got crazy money to work with. Basically the difference of Scarlett now versus when she has that fourth space up is right now she can't really afford the losses. Once she gets this fourth and actually fifth now, wow, finished up, she'll have a lot of money to throw away, thus a lot of bodies to throw at Stats. It's funny, I described Stats as a 3-minute loss right at the start of this game. Not at all aware that this would lead into a longer game. But I should also note that while I've seen Stats lose the game as fast as possible, I've also seen him take this to the limit with carriers, mothership, you name it, for the late game. Ooh, Losing that warp prism stings a little bit, but luckily it's mostly just minerals. And this is not a phase of the game where he's building so many immortals that he doesn't have room in the warp queue. I guess build queue is what I meant to say, but warp queue kind of works. It's Protoss. My point is, if he wants to rebuild that warp prism, it's not too bad to deal with right now. That immortal count though is interesting. 6 immortals. There's not that many actual armored units in the play. It's mostly Ravagers and Banelings, not so much Roaches. So the immortals will have some HP that they'll contribute to the fight, but they won't actually be the big guns. They'll come down a lot to these Archons and frankly these Templar. If these Templar don't nail the storms on Scarlett's Banelings, she's just going to overwhelm. The army supply difference between the two of them is not that vast right now, but this gets fast because Scarlett has 2,000 minerals banked. She has that second army in larva just waiting to be made right now. Not many mutas, but something certainly scary to look out for. This Adept, I don't know why she's out here, but the great scouting she provides lets stats know where the army is. He's really trying to position around here. This has very much been more of a game of chess than your typical game of StarCraft, because it's not been a lot of death and explosions. It's been about posturing and positioning. And unfortunately, Stats is going to be out of position to defend that third base by the looks of it, but if he cleans up the right side hard enough, it won't really matter. That force field warp-in was hella clutch. In fact, let's rewind on that. Beauty of a replay. We get to do this. So that gateway is going to go down. I think he warps in a sentry, and it just barely keeps these units from going further. That was actually a really clutch move out of Stats. In fact, if I can, I want to check his camera. Yeah, so he warps in these sentries. He knows with Ravagers here, they won't seal the deal forever, but it buys him just enough time for this army to engage this. And now those Ravagers can't break a force field. They're too busy running away. The problem is, though, for Stats, Scarlett's happy that the entire army's chasing her because, you know, she walks in and hits some of these Banelings. Now, she's not on +2 yet, so we'll take 2 shots to kill probes, but the base is going to go down. No question about it. But she loses a lot of Ravagers in the process of this. So, I don't know, tip for tat. 4th base, though, going down is going to really sting. But if he kills her 4th and her 5th, it kind of helps make up for it. So instead of rushing home to defend, he goes for the full-on offensive, and frankly, Scarlett cannot hold us with what she has right now. But the Banelings coming out, maybe plausible. But I mean, there's Templar, there's Storms to have to look out for. Stats is on a warpath right now. He does not want to give Scarlett any room to breathe after that damage she dealt to him. He's gonna get sandwiched in here though. Force fields are nowhere to be seen. Storms are good. Oh my god, storms are actually amazing in this situation. Are you kidding me right now? With the storms washing off most of the light units like the Zerglings and the Banelings, this gives a lot of freedom for the Immortals and the Archons to do work. Warp Prism has to be protected here. Oh god, Stalkers are blinking around here. Everything trying to just defend that Warp Prism, because with reinforcements, Stats can totally end this game. Without them, I don't know if he's got the momentum. He's getting it though. Those Stalkers, remember, they got that +2. They can chase on the mutas. They can blink on top of those Ravagers. All the mutas gone. Base is dying. Scarlett is on her way out of game number 1 at this rate. Stats just is too much. And he's even got shield upgrades. I didn't even notice that till just now. Look at his shield upgrades. Stats does shield upgrades. Makes everything here a little bit beefier. A little bit stronger. And Scarlett just has nothing. She had a bank. She still has 1,000 minerals, but she doesn't have time to build anything out of this. She was making her way to Greater Spire. It's just finished up, but no Corruptors, no Broodlords. And even then, 1 or 3 Broodlords would not save her in this situation. There's so many Blink Stalkers, they would just blink underneath them. In fact, Stats is getting really reckless with his Focus Fire and Blinks. You can see this. That's because he's locking her down. And with a GG, Stats takes game 1 in this best of 5. Hey, and welcome back. It's game number 2 in this best of 5. Stats is currently up 1-0. But if you guys are liking this series, make sure you leave a like on the video. Our YouTube manager / editor Will has been doing a fantastic job with videos on the channel. And frankly, guys, the only way to help me pay him more money, because he deserves it, is to grow this channel up. So make sure you like the video, leave a comment, all that good YouTubey stuff. Let's hop into game 2. On Everdream, to the bottom left, we have the Red Protoss Stats. And to the top right, the Blue Zerg Scarlett. And of course, that reminder that this is a Korean match. Funny enough, actually, it doesn't show the server in the replay. I thought it would for some reason, but this was played on Korea. I know there's a lot of confusion because the casual fans out there who probably saw Scarlett's name in the title of the video and clicked the video might not be aware she's still in Korea, of course. So with her playing against Stats, it is very even play field. But we should note this very quick pool and gas coming down. Stats is blocking the natural right now, but this is also oh, deja vu come backeth to me. This is a way I've seen Stats lose a game in record time. I just described it before, and he's done the same low ground pylon. I feel like there's a lot of players who will never do the low ground pylon. Oh, are you kidding me? Who will never do the low ground pylon if they're scared of the player that they're playing against. And Stats really should, in my opinion, be more afraid of Scarlett than he is. That probe on the other side of the field has not seen. He didn't go over here, and it's killing me because he's seen she doesn't have a natural base. So he hasn't seen the pool timing. He doesn't know about the gas. He doesn't know about her proxy hatchery. And he takes a Nexus. I feel like Stats could take a Nexus, but probably shouldn't do it right this second because he should be pushing out a Zealot ASAP. But because this has been some very piss poor scouting on his part, I feel like this is going to go very poorly, guys. I mean, this is actually, like, I get what he was doing. He was playing the mineral micro game, right? Hoping to disrupt her economy, oh so little bit by bit, by mineral, but no, that's not it at all. No roaches, it's Zergling speed. She's bringing some drones, spine crawlers going in the wall, and Stats still doesn't have a goddamn unit on the field. He's supply blocked. Okay, gotta go, that fixes. Sees the hatchery, way too late. I mean, if I'm a pro player, I'm embarrassed at this point. Honestly, I don't even know what I do in this situation if it's me as Stats. But he's going to make the best of it. Okay, so he walls off. This is important. Pylon in the front will not last forever, but it'll stop the Lynx from running by and killing this pylon. And if this pylon dies, it's auto GG. Shield battery's on the way. The Adept's almost out. There's a chance to hold off the Lings, but the real problem comes for Scarlett's spine crawlers. Stats has no way to push out of the base and deny these. And those spine crawlers will, without a doubt, break down. Oh no, break down this wall. He leaves the wall. Oh god, that was scary for a second. He leaves the wall to look ahead, but in doing so leaves an opening for those Lings to potentially run through. Oh, that was actually interesting. Okay, so a couple cool things just happened. Tries to target the larva to deny Scarlett's production. And if this was roaches, that would be really worth it. But because it's Zerglings, it's not. It's just gonna have a lot of everything no matter what. And the spine crawlers are finishing up soon. This is bad. Stats has nothing to fight with. Dude. 2 shield batteries and no units to heal. Oh, this is hard. He played so well in game 1. He played so well in game 1, and I don't know what happened in game 2. He's used up all the shield battery energy on the gateway. It breaks, and so does he. GG. Scarlett ties up this series 1-1. Okay, wait, does it do it? It goes left, so it'd be like boom. Okay, I got it. Welcome back. It's game number 3. The score tied up 1-1 to the bottom right side of the map. Some mistakes were made and some scouting was not had. Hopefully he'll fix all of that. We have the Red Protoss stats. The map is Simulacrum. To the top left, she does spawn blue once more. The blue Zerg Scarlett. And that kind of aggressive play out of Scarlett is, I think, probably a little bit better what she's known for. I don't even want to try to put myself in the head of these pros because without a doubt in my mind, Stats knows how she plays. But also without a doubt in my mind, Stats should have scouted so much better than he did. Like if he saw a hatchery, then his probe mineral harassment, I believe, was warranted. But not seeing a hatchery and not confirming the second gas, not confirming the spawning pool timings, like not checking outside of the base for a proxy. These are all just wild moves that I think you wouldn't make if this was a barcode, but maybe there's like some friendliness between them and he's goofing around. I don't know. I really can't explain it. But we've seen this recently with Zest on a previous cast where just the moves these guys make at the top level wouldn't be as scrutinized if it was anyone else. But when it's players like Stats making these kind of mistakes, you gotta go, how? Why? What? But he's got a better scout this time, right? He messed around and Scarlett did a cool move there where she was waiting with the drone. So she did actually get this base up relatively easily without too much delay or burden caused by Stats. Stats as well has a better situation on his end because he's scouting and he sees the gas, he sees the spawning pool. I don't think he's too worried about Scarlett hitting with a big rush, but he is hitting at a timing where If she pulls off of gas, it's a pretty big indicator of what this will look like. The fact that she stays on gas, well, he didn't really see it, so I guess it doesn't really matter. But back on the other side of the field, he's done his low ground expansion. He's going to be fine in terms of this. Seeing how she's spent the money at home, he knows there won't be the same attack hitting him again this game. So applying, not super blind or anything, Stats is not, I think, in any trouble from what he's seen so far. This goes back to me pointing out Scarlett did not pull off of gas. This is both good and bad, depending on where she goes with this. And looks like the answer to this is bad. I was going to say, you typically pull off because you go for your speed, you get a little bit of things to work with, maybe throw down a roach warren if you're going that way, but you don't need the gas that badly. It goes about minerals, macro, third base, and just having like income dominance. But no, she stayed on gas, she had a plan, and it's a Bane bust. And most of the time, Bane busting is not a thing in Protoss games because you've got shield batteries, you've got units that are just strong enough to soak banelings like a stalker, not to mention force fields. It's just not a strategy people really do anymore. But that's the beauty of it, because it's unexpected and no one really does it. There's no reason for Stats to have any idea this is coming with the information he's seen. My only thing is, like, he may have noticed she didn't pull off of gas and would have kept a probe up here. Maybe, but even then the Zerglings and the Queen would have pushed it off. She still would have gotten away with this. Now, whether she gets away with it for the game or not still is to be determined. There's a thick wall set up, but it's one Stalker and 2 Adepts. Banelings don't break the Stalker. Stats does get the wall layered in a little bit better. Stalker goes down. He's building like crazy. He doesn't want to let her in, but this was so all in at a Scarlett. This kind of risky move was a mistake, to say the least. As cool as this was, I just want to point out, real quick pause, because I don't know if this ends right now or not, but just want to explain, Stats did not see this coming, and he reacted perfectly. And this kind of reaction timing to build the wall, to send his Adept back, to get that second pylon, to plug the gap, he knew the Stalker would die. This was all done within a split second in his mind, and he's handled it so far. I mean, he doesn't need to force field the gateway. That wasn't going to finish up. It's not about more units at this point. Scarlett he knows Scarlett's going to have no drones for this. The amount of units she's committed with. Now, Stats isn't safe yet. This still could go badly for him. He just lost all of his production facilities. So he can't do anything right now other than continue building layers into this wall. And without those shield batteries keeping these extra Adepts up, they're taking a lot of splash damage. Pylon's about to be unpowered. Oh god, he's healing the pylon. Stats, he's manually targeting the pylon. You guys, for the noobs out there, you do not automatically target pylons with shield batteries. You have to manually do this to heal them. Stats is clutching it so hard right now. This is unreal. Those pylons, 20 health, 10 health. Okay, this new pylon finishes up, and now nothing's gonna get unpowered except for that one gateway. An immortal spawns. He's good. He's freaking good to go. What a defense. What a fantastic defense. Now, Resonating Glaives is still coming up behind it, but the Immortal production is going to be plenty good. The shield batteries, albeit not a lot of energy, are recovering energy while this goes on. I think all Stats really has to do is warp in a Sentry with a force field, and he's good. She's going to come with another round of Banelings, but I think the most she can do at this point is either take out both the shield batteries or open a wall. But that's where that force field I was talking about was. You just clutch it. It doesn't matter if these shield batteries die at this point. If these soak the Banelings, then that's worth their mineral cost. They've already paid for themselves through energy use alone. But the force field's gonna come down and block any opening. No, saves the shield batteries. She manually detonates to get them. But that's it. GG. What a hold. Stat takes game number 3. Quick shout out to our YouTube editor again for no reason. If you guys are enjoying these games and they've been stitched together appropriately, it's because of him. Spawning here to the top right side of the map, we have the red Protoss once more. It's the Korean Protoss Stats. The map is Zen, and his opponent to the bottom left, she is, of course, the blue Zerg Scarlett. She's also on her last life. If Stats wins this game, it's $100 easy for him, as it is winner take all, plus 10 ESL points. If Scarlett can bounce back, this will go to game 5, and we'll see what the final score is there. But I mean, I'm watching these for the first time with you guys through this cast, so we are in it together. God, that sounded such like a quarantine quote. We're all in this together. I'm a celebrity in my mansion telling you from luxury. We're in this together. Scarlett's kind of juking this out again, which is kind of cute. Watch this. She did this really well on the last map. He sees no third base, so he thinks, oh, well, she's not actually doing anything. So he goes to check the main. And in this little gap, it gives her the freedom to take the natural uncontested. This is really clever. I really like this play out of Scarlett. She did it last game. She's doing it again this game. It's such a small effort thing, but I've watched Zerg players stubbornly fight over this natural to the point where the Protoss throws down a pylon, then they need Zerglings to clear the pylon. It's just a headache. But with some sneaky play, Scarlett got to avoid all of that. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, Stats has got this natural coming down pretty nicely. It's a bit weirder to do because of the whole low ground pylon thing affecting not just this opening, but also this opening. And I go back to the fact that Scarlett's win she did take in this series did come from a very aggressive build. Something she has not shown so far, but has kept on the gas once more. Something Stats has not stuck around to see. That may end up being a problem for him later. We'll find out. For now, she's got a couple Zerglings just in the midfield. Overlord sees that there's of course going to be an opening, but it's very easy to plug this opening. And 2 Zerglings is not that big of a deal, even if they get in. Yeah, the timing of the Adept is really nice. All right, well, this is going to do a bit of damage. Maybe get a probe. Nope. This forces like 1 worker worth of lost mining. But she got a pretty okay scout. I say pretty okay because she already saw most of what she needed to see out here. It's not like Stats is going to be throwing down the world's fastest Stargate. In fact, she didn't see the Twilight Council, I believe. Let me confirm that real quick. Yeah, she didn't see the Twilight Council, but I believe Stats has gone for Resonating Glaives in pretty much every game. Well, except for the one he was denied by her. So it makes sense he sticks with it. Yeah, Stats, I still can't believe the defense in that last game. That was so wild and crazy and cool to see. But of course, the game of StarCraft 2 is not always won through just defending. You're gonna have to take it across the field, and the best way to do that is to take it with units that will get a 45% speed increase with their attacks thanks to this upgrade, Resonating Glaives. It's pretty wild because, frankly, I think Adepts without Resonating Glaives aren't really made to fight roaches. They can still fight queens and Zerglings very well. But the difference of that 45% extra attack is like the whole extra volley from like 10 units coming in kills a roach versus doesn't kill a roach. So it's a very, very, not just capable, but strong upgrade. But it is interesting to see this pushed out as quick as it is. With a few more gateways, this might be all in. Stats, as you guys will recall, did the same opening. It wasn't really that committed. Which is wild because once upon a time, if somebody was chronoing out, like not even once upon a time, we're talking like 6 months ago, before quarantine hit, basically. If you chronoed out Resonating Glaives, you were going all in and it was do or die. But Protoss players aren't really playing like that as much anymore. Well, it's always an option for sure, and that's why we're waiting to see if there's extra gateways or not. Stats really is using this as an opener. Yeah, we got the Observer coming out, so the Stalker can get rid of the Overlord. Obviously, there'll be a lot of distraction going on over here, so I don't think he'll be worried about Lings running in or anything. It's a little dangerous because, of course, Stats didn't know what Scarlett was up to. Nor does he have a really good idea what the defense is. He's seen a couple of roaches, though, and I should tell him that she has units ready to fight. It's up to these Adepts to not get caught, or at least caught as little as possible. I think there's a bit of freedom to chip away at this hatchery. I'm surprised he's not taking the opportunity to do that. Or bring the Observer across the field to clean up creep. Either way, he's just kind of posturing outside Scarlett's area, and she's on layer. You know, we got rich speed on the way. A lot of the right tools are coming out to deal with this, but as I had mentioned, this isn't necessarily something super committed. Stats so far, though, doesn't have that forge that we saw before, nor does he have a Nexus, so I don't know if he plans to play out of this or not. I think if we see another massive warp in, it's going to be safe to assume the commitment is real. Actually, whoa, hold on. He's warping sentries and a mortal at home, so he is playing this out. Just no third. Okay. It's a risky transfer if that was to go through. All right, taking the time now to clean up some of the creep. I like the use of this. The transfer is going to keep Scarlett from pushing out. The danger of that completing is so high that she cannot chase and get what would be otherwise guaranteed kills on the adepts. Oh, she just attacked her own roach. Oh, that's bad. That's stress and misclick. A bad combination. There's the Forge and there's the Nexus. So Stats is going to play out of this. This is going to look very, very similar to game 1 of the series. This might actually transfer through with how far this roach is chased. No, I guess not. Okay. It's a dangerous bluff. Because if these adepts actually transfer through, maybe get some damage, but then you'd have to recall out, which almost guarantees he'll lose 4 or 5 of them. But Scarlett also didn't take the bait as bad this time. She actually continued droning pretty heavily while this was going on. So the income is actually a little bit more back and forth, and in fact favoring her for the most part. But if at any point those adepts actually transfer through and start killing drones, that's where this becomes a real problem. Warp Prism in the main base looking for some opportunity, but looks like Scarlett is on top of this, so Stats will not have the freedom to just dunk on the mineral line. However, all of this faux aggression has really bought him safety at the third. There's no Zerglings running by. There's no harassment going down. He is in the most leisurely way I've ever seen a Protoss against this high level of a Zerg player just casually taking the third. And that's great for him, obviously. A little bit worse for Scarlett if he gets away with it. So she's going for broke. It's a pretty healthy worker count on her part, but that Warp Prism seeing the Banelings lets him know that this is no longer just a small counterattack, but something far more committed. She's got Baneling speed, she's got +1 weapons. There's a lot of tech that goes into this fight that favors Scarlett, but I mean, at the end of the day, basic shit like force fields looking pretty good, keeping a lot of these Banelings back for now, but the Banelings do finally break through. Stats loses the core of his army. A lot of the adepts, the sentries are all gone. There's no more force fields, but the fight within the shield batteries has been huge for this. And while there's a little bit of an issue with an unpower there with the pylon, Stats ultimately has taken a much better fight. Look at the resources lost between the two of them. So many. It's not about the Banelings. A lot of Banelings actually got detonate, so that wasn't so bad. But she can't commit with just Ravagers. She needs units around them. These Stalkers, they got Blink. The Immortals are just powerful in general. There's no world where Stats loses if it's just Ravagers. But with Banelings and Zerglings and Roaches, that's where this does get troublesome. Shield batteries are back up and running though. Picks up a couple of these units. A little bit of Warp Prism juggling. No, ooh, no reliable anti-air to shoot up. So these Immortals are going to be juggled to death. Oh, juggled to life? Meanwhile, Scarlett continues the assault. She dives in deep. The probe line barely gets scratched. The Stalkers all survive. Stats is winning this fight really hard. I mean, she's got reinforcements on the way, and that's why her army supply is not completely dunked, but she's lost everything on the front line. So many Ravagers went down with this. This was such a big, committed attack, and even though she's on 4 bases, she's not mining off of 4 bases. This is a pretty tough spot as the counterattack comes across the field. Stats lost almost nothing, right? Well, at least in comparison. He lost a lot of units objectively, but as he comes into this next fight, man, those units that survive. So many of these Immortals have their barriers back off a cooldown. The sentries are going to get dunked on a little bit, sure. The Stalkers blink behind everything to safety. The Immortal barriers soak the damage as necessary. And oh my god. It's not like a one-sided fight. Look at the army supply. It's still pretty close. But a lot of Scarlett's army supply is in production and not on the field. Not alive just yet. Oh, the Warp Prism does get taken out. This is actually a really good thing for Scarlett, as this means Stats can no longer reinforce. He also goes for a very aggressive blink directly into the heart of her army. And while I thought that would get all the Stalkers killed, it gets most of them almost dead. The Immortals clean up. Hold the phone. GG. Stats wins the series 3-1. But before we get out of it and send to the intro screen, how many kills did those Immortals have at the end of the game? That's the big question on my mind. Hold up. Hold up. We got to see. I'm gonna let this battle go out a little bit, right? Okay, that Immortal dies, but he was like new and rallied. So sad, I know. 29, 16. Oh my god, these immortals had so many kills on them. I think almost of the majority of the units that died this game, these immortals claimed their lives. That's incredible. That's incredible. All right, guys. So if you like this cast, you like these series, you want to see more of these games, of course, do help us out up on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. Make sure you come back for the future casts, and I'll see you on the next one.